Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Raden Jachregantravis from Numerical Method Class 01, and welcome to part 2 of this four-part series on Final Challenge, a review for numerical method videos and quiz. On the previous part, we discussed about the DAI-5 conscious thinking method and how it can be used in real life. So, if you have not watched that video, feel free to go back to that video before continuing to this video. Before we start today's presentation, I'd like to say my intentions before we start, as it is always good to to have an intention before doing anything so that you do it truthfully and you do it with your whole heart. So, there are four main intentions I have for this video. The first one, my intention is to complete this work for the sake of our Almighty God. The second one is to evaluate and recall back what I have learned from numerical method this semester. The third one is I would always try to remember to be conscious throughout this entire process, this entire four-part playlist, and all my other videos. And the fourth one, I will try to evaluate what I can improve to be more conscious, and I will self reflect at the end of this four-part series based on my answers. So, once we have our intentions set, let us continue to the topic of the second part of this video. In this part, I'm going to talk about added values you can have from the DAI-5 conscious thinking method. On the previous part, we discussed on what the DAI-5 conscious thinking method actually is, and now I'm going to discuss what added values, at least what I have, what I get from DAI-5 conscious thinking. And I have a lot of added values from conscious thinking by DAI-5 method, but I've categorized it to four main parts. The first one is focus and direction. The second one is motivation and confidence. The third one is enhanced understanding. And the fourth one is a creative problem solving. In this video, I'll discuss each and every one of them, and hopefully, you guys can also get the added values from the A5 conscious thinking method. The first one is focus and direction. The E5 method helps me set clear goals and objectives. By establishing clear information from the start, I can concentrate more and be more focused. As we know, the E5 method starts off with intention. Once you get your intention set, for me personally, I become more focused in doing what I want to do. So that's why I put this as the first point of the added values of the E5 method. Because compared to doing it without the DAI-5 method, sometimes you lose track of things, and losing track of things sometimes can make you not as conscious. The DAI-5 method helps you to stay conscious, stay on track, and be focused on that direction based on your intention. The second one is motivation and confidence. Maybe you might ask, why does a problem solving framework increases my motivation and confidence? Well, through the DAI-5 method, I know exactly what I need to do, and having a framework to follow helps me to be more confident in doing it, and it increases my motivation to complete it. Since DAI-5 is a structured problem solving framework, I can use and I can try to do it systematically. When I do that systematically, I am more confident in doing my work because I know that nothing will be left behind, especially once I've got my intentions right and I've done the initial thinking about the problem. Uh, then I can do the rest of the problems with much confidence. And by doing problems using the DAI-5 method, it also trains you to be more confident in real life. Sometimes Sometimes in real life, sometimes you are not that conscious. Sometimes you act like you are not yourself. Sometimes you say bad words. Sometimes you do some things that are not not exactly what according to religious norm, for example. And so doing problems using the A5 methods, it will creep on into your real life. You will start to be more conscious in real life, and that's why I also put motivation and confidence in real life. Also, by making these videos, sharing it to you guys, it also increases my motivation and my confidence in doing work. The third one is enhanced understanding. Because I do the initial thinking about the problem, I become more aware of what I need to focus on, and thus enhances my understanding on that topic before continuing on to the next step. So through the DAI5 method, I have more enhanced understanding of what I'm going to do on the topic, because sometimes in other subjects, you just do the questions according to what they tell you in the book. And even though the way is correct, how the steps are right, but without that flow, without that initial thinking about the problem, sometimes you don't really learn how to do that. And so through the DAI5 method, it makes sure that you understand about the topic before continuing to idealization. So that's why I put enhanced understanding as one of the reasons, as one of the added values from this DAI5 conscious thinking learning method. And the fourth one is a creative problem solving. So Day 5 doesn't limit me to solve a problem in a certain method. Instead, it opens new doors and create opportunities for me to solve the problem using creative solutions. This linked to the previous statement I had before, where sometimes you use the book as a reference and you end up not really studying. And when the question changes a bit, you don't know what to do, as you only know what has been taught to you through the books. And through this the A5 conscious thinking method, you expand your horizon on knowledge. You can see more, and you can try to solve the problem using other creative ways. And as I said earlier, this does not just limit to problem solving math question, but this framework can also be used to improve your life, to increase your conscious thinking throughout all aspects of daily life. And so those are the four main added values I got from the A5 method. And before I end the video, I want to do a mini discussion. I'm inspired by the discussions we have at class with Padai, and I thought I'd bring it to my YouTube channel as well. So Padai always says that there are two main parts, two main things you need to study, which is the hardware and the brainware. Things like gadgets and laptops are just secondary items, and what you need most is your hardware and your brainware. And this is a quote by Padai. My heart works to encode while my brain works to decode. And in this mini discussion, I'll try to elaborate on what I think this quote means. So, this quote is divided into two parts. I mean, it's to encode and to decode. The first one, I'm going to talk about the encoding. So, when learning something new, my hardware, which is like my emotions and my personal interests, and my brainware, which of course is the cognitive thinking and everything, they work together when I learn something new. And the heart encodes information with emotional significance, making it more engaging and more memorable. So if if the heart encodes the information with emotional significance, then it's easier for you to remember, and it's easier for you to not forget about the about what you learn. And for example, if you learn because for the sake of God, if you learn for the sake of God, then in your heart and your brain, they work together, and your heart encodes information, and your brain fully accepts it. But if you don't learn because for the sake of God, then maybe your brain doesn't decode it properly, and maybe you're not fully on there. You're not fully into the problem, like you're not fully conscious like that. And for the second part is the decoding. So after the encoding, brainware decodes and processes the information. The cognitive faculties they analyze, extract meaning, and integrate it with existing knowledge. So the key here, still for me, in my opinion, the key here is that you need to do everything with your whole heart. You you can't do things uh, not putting your heart fully onto it, because if you don't put your whole heart into doing something, uh, then your brain doesn't your heart doesn't encode it properly, and your brain doesn't decode it properly as well, and that's information lost. And it would be a shame if you took your time to go to a class, listen to the teacher speak about 1 to 2 hours, but your heart isn't fully, and your heart doesn't have an intention set. It doesn't have the right intention set. Then you might not just get anything in the class, and you might feel it's useless. And so I think this is really important, especially for people nowadays where everyone, well, I mean, including myself, we get attached to our mobile phones, and we have short attention spans. And I think that by setting our intentions right before going to a class, it can improve can improve what I try to learn and what I get from class. And so class is not a formality anymore. And I try, and because of Padai, and of course, I try to be more conscious in doing everything I do, and I try to implement that, and I have it has made some effects. I mean, I've learned better at class. So for that, I'd like to thank Padai. And so this mini discussion ends our session in part two, as this is the checkpoint of part two, and we'll continue on next video in part three, where part three is a multi-video series as well, where I will first discuss uh, about the simple problems in numerical method, and there are also several things and several examples on numerical method problems. And so stay tuned for part three. Keep watching and subscribe my channel if you haven't. So, and thank you for your time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.